Cloud. As long as you're going to trim the beginning so they don't just get all of the weird stuff, right? Or are you just going to post it as is? We do have somebody here. The meeting is being recorded. I saw we had somebody join. Sadie. Hi, Sadie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Ooh, I like this a lot.
Sadie, hold on. Will you speak again?
Yeah, we're going to make sure we can hear you. You're our guinea pig since we just started.
Okay. Sadie, will you speak one more time? Sadie, will you speak for me one more time?
Yes, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Yay. Is my audio coming through okay with me being a little further away from the mic?
Yes, I can hear you guys well.
Okay, perfect.
Turn it. I'm going to turn her down just a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit.
Like that?
Yep, perfect.
And then,
then chat.
I
Yep.
got you. I got you.
Oh,
You're good.
you're so great. Okay,
Go,
thanks.
go and be awesome. Sign in. Is everybody signed in so far? There's Cassie. Cassie signing in with what looks like a very fun caffeinated beverage. Is it fun? Is it caffeinated? Sugar-free, fat-free, guilt-free? All right, we are here right at 1 o'clock. Set myself a timer. Okay. You guys can't tell I'm long-winded. This is for me, not for you. This is because if this is not here, we will be here until next week. So, how's everybody doing today? Amazing. Okay, thank you guys all for sitting closer. If I could get you to come up to the second row. And then Katie can shift down or Christian can, one or the other. And then I'm going to get, Christian, I'm going to make you in charge of that mic. And so it is your official responsibility to pass it between you three.
All right.
Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
Red means,
I'm sure.
Yeah, red means it's on. And then Kirk, I'm going to give this one to you so that you four can have it. Got mics out. That's just to prevent me from having to run like crazy. Okay, so I don't know all of you, and all of you don't know me. So I've set my timer to make sure I don't go too long in this, but I would like to know who is in class today. I know I see a few people online. We've got Sadie and Kitten. So, oops, and I'm going, here we go. So welcome to Ignite. I think this is session 6, right? Session 6, yeah, deliver your value proposition. So I'm actually really, really excited that I got an opportunity to teach this class. This is something that is really, really important for my business and I like talking about. But I want you guys to know who I am and that I actually know what I'm talking about first. That's probably important. So I'll start with that and then I want to hear from you guys. My name's Brian Stone. I've been in the industry since, 2017, April 2017 or so. I have the typical real estate journey, which is that I started on a team and then I was not on a team and then I was on a team again and then I started my own team and then I split that team and now I have a new team again. So real estate is all about change, right? So I've changed a lot in my industry. That's a good thing and a bad thing. There are lots of ways to be successful, but one thing that it does mean is that I've learned a lot about different value systems and different value propositions that different agents as individual agents and different teams have, right? So I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because I've had a lot of change in my career since I've been here. I've helped at this point career to date, right around 180 families find their way home or sell their home. So that's something I'm very, very excited about. I like measuring in families, not in dollars, right? Because it means I'm actually making an impact. And so I think it's a great career. I started where you guys started in Ignite. doing a lot of the same activities that you guys have been doing. So I'm excited to hear from you guys. So Christian, why don't you kick us off? Who are you? Very, very, very briefly, who are you? How long have you been in real estate?
I'm Christian Martin. I've been in real estate for 113 days and like a few hours. Who's counting though? Although I haven't been in it the whole time, had some family issues, but I'm excited to learn and I'm very honored to be in Ignite and have this chance.
Awesome.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm
Katie.
Pittman. I have been in real estate since April.
Since April.
Yes.
Whoop, whoop. Okay.
Shane Knups, been in real estate since June 9th.
June 9th. Awesome.
Yep.
Sweet.
I'm Savannah Slater. I've been in real estate since September of last year.
Awesome.
Susie Griswold joined October of last year.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susie. I know.
Cassandra Jones, April 2nd.
Cassandra.
My name is Kirk. I have been in real estate since December of last year.
Awesome.
Part-time and 2 weeks full-time.
Part-time. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Kirk. Some of you might be dual career, right? Or this may not be your only gig, which is totally normal. So hopefully you guys are going to learn a lot about how to set up habits to make it your full-time gig if that's something that you desire. So Sadie, let's hear from you online. Oh, she already texted. Been in real estate since end of March. Thank you. Thank you, Sadie. Caden, can you hear us and who are you?
Yes, sir. My name is Kitten Potter, and I'm waiting for my license from the MREC.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah. Woo. Sweet. How long have you been waiting? How many years?
Like a week. I've been waiting
Like a
like
week?
Yeah.
You got a little longer. You got a little longer. That's okay. It felt like that for me. I was one that drove down to Jeff City and got the timber license just so that I could come back and not have any clients. It was great, but I couldn't wait to get started. So awesome. So anybody, any of you guys, let's see, how do I want to put this? I want to hear something you guys are grateful for so far. We're in session 6. We've had 5. A lot of you are new. So give me something that you're grateful for on this journey thus far, this learning journey that you guys have started.
I'll go. I'm grateful for, I can't remember what class it was, but it was talking about the scripts. I thought that was, before that class, I thought that was so silly. But it really does boost your confidence, and it helps you get the better terminology. So I'm very grateful for that in Ignite.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Let's hear about a challenge that some of you guys have had so far in the industry. Something that maybe relates to your value proposition that you have, or maybe relates to something that you could overcome by properly presenting your value proposition. Yeah.
Like a challenge I've had, like with my last client, I had my first closing yesterday, so it was with them.
Nice.
And I don't think when I did the listing appointment with him, I really got into, I don't know how to word it, like what a contract means. I just kind of figured, because he's sold homes before, that he would know. And so he's one of those, he got really stressed out like at any little like hiccup. And he would want to, back out or relist it or just at any point. And it's like, you can't always do that. You're under contract. And so I think delivering that, I don't know if that's the same, if that's what you mean, but
I actually love that. So
Yeah.
we're just going to put client indecision / stress, because that's really what it is, right? That's really what it is. No, that's a great thing to bring up. Let's hear one other challenge, because I love focusing on challenges instead of anything else, because it's something we can work on actively together. So
I had a listing, my first listing. She happened to be a friend, and so I kind of knew her temperament, and she read every single line of the contract, every single line, and had questions. And she actually came up with something that I think was actually a mistake with an RSMO. So I just have forgotten to bring that back up, because we Google it. She's like, well, that doesn't make sense. I said, no, you're right. That is wrong.
do you remember what it is?
No, I have it in probably on some document somewhere, but I'll
If,
find it.
if you find that on some document somewhere, please send it to me.
Okay.
Like, please. Oh gosh, I want to find it. I want to find it. Yes, yeah. I love that. So too much detail. Right? So you got a client that really is reading. Oh, one more. Oh, two. Oh, yeah. There you go. Is that better, Cassie? Okay. By the way, just because I sell real estate doesn't mean I can spell or do math. I know 2 percentages, 3 and 6. Let's just get that out of the way now. You will see mistakes up here, but that's okay. That's all ways forward. Okay. Awesome. Let me get one more challenge that you guys are having. Because we're going to relate all these back, and we'll come back to these. Self-management. Okay. Okay, what do you mean by that, Kirk? And make sure you say it into the microphone. So Kirk said self-management.
Self-management. And what I mean by that is there is absolutely so much that you have to do, right, in order to be successful.
Okay.
It's hard to sometimes commit to a course of action and not feel like you're not dropping the ball in somewhere else. So that's what I mean by self-management. Just because you have to find a way to block your time to get everything done.
Okay. So, okay. All right. Probably come back to that. Keep the mic, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Yes, you can. Absolutely. Thank you.
So just because we're talking about challenges, I think just the market itself
Okay.
and how we add our value to make the market better.
I love it.
Does everybody understand what that means? This is the market. Okay. Actually, right now that's more accurate. I don't know if you guys can see that on Zoom. It's just a lot of squiggles. It's just a lot of squiggles. It just went all the way almost down to the bottom of the whiteboard. So, okay. So yeah, dealing with market challenges. So now, do you mean with the client, with yourself, with other agents, all of the above?
No, I mean like just even strategizing in the market and
Yeah.
giving the client that value to the client so they understand whether it's the seller side or the buyer side. Seller side thinking that I can do it myself and how do I add value? And the
Thank
buyer
you. Yeah.
side, getting them confident that we're going to find them something.
Okay.
Just really the buy and sell of how we
Gotcha. Okay. I like it. I like it. All right. So that gives me a good list to work off of. So, and because my timer says I have 4 minutes and 23 seconds left, I'm going to keep moving. So, really the whole focus, and you guys have probably seen these slides before in other sessions, right, is becoming the agent that you guys were meant to be, right, that you want to be, which is, sorry, I had to correct that. Number one, how to grow your business, and number two, how to run your business, right? So growing is lead generating, making presentations, making buyer presentations, previewing real estate, right? Those are your activities that you guys have focused on at Ignite. That's doing your previews for homes, making your contacts on a daily basis, writing thank you cards, right? Have you guys have all been doing that? Yes or no? Yes? Okay.
I haven't got to yet, so.
Okay, so and I'm going to pause because I have 3 minutes. I'm going to pause and say, can we all agree? And I should have started with this. Can we all agree to be 100% transparent and honest for the rest of the time that we're here? Okay, so show of hands, who has been doing 100% of the activities that are included with Ignite? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. And you notice my hand is not up either, right? Because when I did Ignite, I didn't do 100%. But guess what? You do 25% and you're 22% better than most of the people in the room. Right. So I can tell you that I took Ignite 3 times. And this was while I was actively working on my business and doing deals and on a team and had support, and I still took Ignite 3 times. Because these activities that we're giving you, there's a reason. Previewing homes, there were 4 agents in my Ignite class, my first one, that actually previewed homes. I had 30 people that started that Ignite. Do you want to take a guess at how many of those agents are still in the industry? 4. Which 4? The 4 that previewed. I'm one of them. I wish that wasn't a stat because there were some great people that would be great advocates for their clients that were in that class. But the reality is they didn't do the work. So I'm gonna be really serious about pushing you guys to do the activities that are here. I know that that's difficult, right? But just do the work and the business will follow. I can 100% guarantee you that it will follow. I can't guarantee you where or from whom, and it won't be where you expect, but if you do the activities, if you lead generate, if you write the thank you notes, if you actually go and preview homes, vacant homes, you will get to know the market better. You'll feel more confident, which will come through in your conversations. It'll help you run your business. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm getting a phone call, but I'm screening it, sorry. So running the business is marketing listings, showing buyers houses, negotiating contracts, vendor management. I love that one. Vendor management. That is a scratch off for most agents that are new and some seasoned agents. They ignore the vendor management piece of it, and that's huge. And attending trainings. So you guys are already doing number 8. Woo. Right? And when we're talking about value proposition, this is what we're focused on today. A lot of what we're going to focus on is the running part of the business as far as the educational part, us going through the slides. And then at the end of today, we'll actually get into some script practicing and some lead generation, which will be growing your business, right? So we're going to touch on both, but I'm going to focus on this roadmap for the first half or so of our time together, right? So we first want to actually define our value. We want to talk about some aspects of service that are going to be important to actually defining your unique value, which allows you to know and state your value, deliver it. Then we're going to get some recaps and some ahas and talk about those business habits that I just talked about, right? Which is lead generation, script practice, doing your follow-up, all of those things. That make sense? Cool. So let me ask you a question. This is a general question for all of you guys. Are we in a service-based business or are we in a sales-based business? Service. Everybody agree? Okay. So why is it that we focus so much on sales training?
I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, it's an honest question, right? I've asked it myself. A lot of that is because we have to build the confidence to actually shift from a sales-based business into a service-based business, right? So when it comes to actually identifying your personal value proposition, I want to assure you that there is no individual agent that has the same value proposition. Some of them are more service-based than others, but I would encourage you guys and challenge you as we're going through today, you're going through your participant guides or your notes, right, to try and think about how you can be service-focused and not sales-focused, okay? All right, let's get into it. Knowing your value. So a value proposition is actually a pretty simple concept, but it's hard in practice. It's a simple and precise description of what you uniquely provide and what customers get when they're working with you, so that you actually can convey the things that you do personally to earn the business. You notice I said earn, right? Not receive. Your value proposition is where you win listings, it's where you win buyers, and it's where you get repeat referral business, even if you already have the easy ones, right? Because if you deliver on your value, they have no reason to refer you to anybody else, right? Other than the people that they care about, right? They have no reason to refer anybody else to you, anybody other than you. You guys follow me, right? So how will having the preparation with what your value proposition is help you move from having leads into having contracts that actually close? That's a general question. Anybody want to take a guess? What? Yeah, so how will having prepared your value proposition help you move from leads to contracts and to closings? Yeah, sorry, Kirk.
The stronger your value proposition, the more confidence that the person that you're sitting in front of communicating it has in you.
Okay.
And the more likely they are to allow you to list and or work with them as a buyer for their home.
I love that. That actually addresses how to get from leads to contacts, right? But does that help you get from contacts to actually closings? Right. You talk about
Say no.
no, right? Yeah, no is the right answer. So So communicating your value proposition is how you convert people to get the business. Yeah. Actually delivering on it is how you get to the closing table, right? And delivering on it at a high level is how you become a household name for real estate, right? Because every agent in this office that has repeat referral business that's been here for longer than a couple of years, you can bet that they, whatever the value system they have, they deliver on it, because that's how they get the repeat referral business. Last year, I closed just under 5 million. And because I promised transparency in here, I did not lead generate every day. I didn't lead generate every week last year. I didn't. And I could give you all kinds of excuses. Hey, broke my leg, COVID, family stuff. All those are true and valid. And yet I still made a choice to not lead generate on a daily basis, right? Yet I still had that much volume because I delivered on the value proposition with the clients that I served over the past 3 or 4 years. And because of that, I had 95% of my business last year come from repeat or referral clients. And that's what you guys can set the stage for in the future by doing the activities and delivering on your value. They're not there yet. You'll get some pretty quickly, right? You'll get some repeat referral in the first year or so. But the magic number is about 2-3 years. If you guys deliver on the value in 2-3 years from now, you don't have to have the fear about losing the business. All you have to do is just maintain it and keep delivering on your value, and your people will take care of you. That make sense? Okay. Now that doesn't make me a Dan Holt or an Adam Grady or anything like that, but it does make me be able to provide a life by my own design for my family and have the income that I need to do my goals, right? Which are different. So, yeah.
You said it was kind of a choice to not lead generate. Was it a conscious choice not to lead generate? Or was it more of a necessity for you to keep up with the business that you had through referral?
I would like to be able to say that it was a necessity based on the business that I had, but it wasn't.
Okay.
It really is all a choice.
Okay.
I could have leaned more into self-management, right? I could have actually managed my time a little better, managed my schedule a little better. Am I disappointed with myself?
No.
At the time, yes, but at a certain point, I had to forgive myself and move forward, right? Spend the time looking at the windshield instead of the rearview mirror, right? But it was a conscious and an unconscious choice. What was unconscious was my emotional state. And so the activities for me to actually get to where I could have, right, if I had had the activities I need, were not necessarily just making a certain number of phone calls a day. It's what was I doing for self-care during an incredibly difficult year, right, to make sure that I had the energy to make the phone calls, because you cannot give what you do not have. You have to give yourself energy first, and then you can show up in the way that's confident that people will be drawn to, right?
I like that answer a lot.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Just me, I'm 100% real with you guys. Yeah. I don't have a perfect business. I'm not going to stand up here and say that I'm the be all end all by any means. Yeah. Somebody have a comment? Amy, yeah. Extreme ownership. She said absolute ownership. Oh, thank you, Amy. You joined us. Yay. Extreme ownership is something that Blake Cook and myself talk a lot about, because we are the productivity coaches for the Market Center, right? So in coaching, which several of you are in, we talk about extreme ownership a lot. And that's, it's a book by Jocko Willink. And so you can actually read the book. It's a great book. But it goes to the extent of 100% ownership all the time, right? To the extent that if my wife got hit by an asteroid tomorrow, it would be my fault for not investing in asteroid defense. Right. And that's a silly arrangement, but excuses are real and valid. But what's next? Right. How do I learn from that thing that happened, that uncontrollable thing, right, and prevent it from happening again in the future? Yes. Thank you, Amy. Good comment. All right. So one thing that I want to focus on here in terms of actually conveying it and making that covenant is, your value proposition is your covenant. When you come in with a marketing plan during a listing appointment, or you have a buyer's consultation, you are making a covenant with that client that is how your standard is and how you're going to take care of them. So if you break that, you don't deserve their business. right? So this is I think a problem that I had when I first started. I over delivered I tried to sell myself too much, and then I was setting myself up for failure on the front end. I'm very real with my clients on expectations, and there's a quote that I'm going to write down. Just need to have somebody scribe for me. That kind of talks about this. So. Sorry, I can't write and talk at the same time. I have said this time and time again, long before I was even in the real estate industry. And for those of you online that can't read it, it's unspoken expectations are premeditated resentment. You might want to take a guess at what that means. Here's the funny thing. I've done 7 weddings and I've done some marriage counseling, and I say the same thing. Yeah, it's the same concept. Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments, right? So your value, when you're actually talking about it and you're conveying that value, this is you setting the expectation. And clients crave structure and expectations. There's a reason they're paying for your service, right? When you guys pay for a service, do you expect structure in organization? Do you crave that? Right? Is it an unspoken or spoken expectation? Unspoken, right? So if they don't deliver on that, how do they know if they didn't deliver on it? They don't, right? So we have a unique value right now, you guys especially because you're just getting started, being face-to-face with every client you have. So you have an opportunity to speak the expectations because you're in charge of your own value. So you can speak that and make sure that they understand what that means. So let's get into some aspects of service. Sorry, I'm moving along. So we're going to talk about purpose, value proposition, and then being a fiduciary instead of a functionary. So what is the underlying purpose of real estate? Hey, Tim. You're good. What's the underlying purpose for real estate?
Get a home or sell their home.
Yeah. So for buyers, it is about finding a home, right? Best price, amount of time, least amount of problems. Right. And by the way, you can write that down because that's a great thing to deliver in a buyer's consultation. My goals for you in my representation is to get you the best price and the time frame that you're wanting with the least amount of problems. You notice I didn't promise no problems. And I didn't promise, the moon in terms of price. The best price for the market we're in is different, right? So you're already setting expectations because remember, spoken expectations can be met. Unspoken expectations become premeditated resentments, right? So what happens if your clients are buying or selling and their experience isn't really spoken? There's underlying issues there. I mean, really, it's again, you can't deliver on the value if they don't understand what it is. And if you don't communicate your value, they're going to form preconceived expectations that you will absolutely not deliver on, right? And so what's the likelihood of them using you or getting to the closing table, right? So to address here, client indecision and stress. If you have a lack of value and you don't lay out the structure for how the flow of the transaction is going to happen, then what is that going to cause the client? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And they're going to freak out the entire time they're under contract because they don't know what's happening. And the best phrase you can give is, hey, we're going to talk about the process. I'm going to educate you on what to expect. And then every time we get to the next checkpoint, I'm going to tell you what's next. So what happens next is we find our inspector and we make sure that they can do it between 5 to 7 days, and then we'll review everything that comes back. Well, what about the appraisal? Is the home going to? Our next step is the inspection. Once we get through that, then we'll talk about the appraisal, right? So just keep them on track. The too much detail is also a result of a lack of communication and expectation or a lack of trust in your knowledge of the contracts or the forms or the processes that they're following, right? So you have to make sure that they understand that you are an expert in your unique value so that they don't have to be. So let's talk about functionary versus fiduciary. What does fiduciary mean? Or how are they different? What's the difference between a functionary and fiduciary, excuse me?
I think functionary is just more information driven and fiduciary is more trust and contract and oh, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Like liability.
So it's usually used in the financial sector, right? Is where you hear the fiduciary term used a lot, right? So someone that's managing a retirement, managing a trust, right? So functionary means you're fulfilling a particular function, right? You know, a showing agent is fulfilling a function, right? That's a functionary. Like, so if you're thinking about a team structure, if your job is to just go show the house, then you're performing a function of real estate. A transaction coordinator is a functionary, right? An agent is a fiduciary, which means you are your client's fiduciary. The way that I explain it is your interest or my interest. I have a legal obligation, a legal document that means that your interest are my interest. And that's the best way that you can put it. That's easy for them to understand.
Is the showing agent not a fiduciary? Are they not?
Legally speaking, yes. In practice, if there is a buyer's agent, then they're hiring you to be the fiduciary. Yes. That's a good question. So what are some ways that you can serve as your client's fiduciary during the transaction? Finding what they're interested in, okay. And really finding what they're interested in. Okay, I like that. I like that. What else?
Making sure you hold their interests higher than your own.
Okay. So their interest above your own. Should your interest even be in play?
No, not really.
Your interest or my interest? What does that mean? It doesn't mean shared interest, does it? Right. I mean this in the nicest way possible. Your interests don't matter. Not your commission, not the time frame, not when you need something to close, when you don't need something to close. And this again is something that I think some agents miss out on, right? I can't create urgency where there is no need for a client, right? It doesn't matter if I need a closing next month if my client's best interests say that it needs to be a year from now, right? So asking great questions is how you really get to the root of what are my client's goals? What are my client's desires, right? And to listen first and speak second when you're actually in the process of showing houses, right? Or you're in a listing appointment, because that's really where you start to see them identify what their actual needs are. And sometimes you have to dig for that because what they say they need and what they actually need are different, right? On the buy side, it's like, well, we want 1 acre. Okay. Are you just going to set up a search for 1 acre or more? No. What's the question? So Tim, you shook your head. How would you respond to that? I'm going to pick on you.
Well, I would set up the search for anywhere from 1/2 acre up to 2 acres.
Okay. And what question would you ask them if they tell you, hey, we want a minimum of 1 acre?
What's the reason for that?
What's the reason, right? Right. So yeah, what's important about that 1 acre, right? You don't just want to send them outside of their search criteria, right? Because then unspoken expectations, right? Yeah, you're having an unspoken expectation that they're going to understand their actual want or need versus what they're saying their want and need is, and that may not be the case, right? So what about that acreage is important? Another way you can ask that is, okay, if I found you something that was 0.9 acres and checked every other box on your list, you wouldn't write an offer. Oh, well, no, yeah, okay, we would consider that. Okay, so it's not, your minimum really isn't 1 acre. Is it privacy? Right? Most of the time you can go 3 questions deep on the buy side and get to their real root need, right? Their root non-negotiables. We want it to be private. Okay, you can get privacy on a ½ acre, right? You can get privacy on a ½ acre depending on where it sits. There's some subdivisions that have it on the backside, county land behind it, never get developed. Feels like you're on acreage and you own 3 acres and your land is like right here, right? So less in taxes, more in space, right? So understanding that, that's what being a fiduciary means, is asking the questions so that you can control the process. So I want to jump in to an activity. You guys should have it on page 4 to 6 in your guides, in your participant guide. So we're actually going to look at some data around the way clients think, what they want to get a bigger picture of what the current real estate market and the desire is. Before we do that, though, if you want to look at page 5, there's a space to write about yourself, your strengths and perspectives. I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to actually take some time to write that down. If you don't have your guide in front of you, then just write down some of your unique strengths and perspectives. And I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to watch my timer and give you guys a little bit of time to do that. And you guys online can do that too. So what are on page 5, what are your unique strengths and your unique perspectives? Sorry, guys, online. I should have gotten some music. I can sing to them, but it would be awful. I did have it first, though. I had a buyer write a kitten into the offer. Yes. And it didn't get accepted. Because there was a higher offer. They don't have a house to put the kitten in. I felt awful. But I still presented the offer with a kitten. It was fun. Yeah, it wasn't the best offer. You want one? There's plenty. They're free. See you next week. Okay. All right. I like that. That's how I've gotten every single cat that I've ever owned. Like, hey, you're a pet person. I found these in Starbucks. Thanks. Appreciate that. I'm in college and I don't have a pet deposit, but I really appreciate that. That's great. Okay. So, writing. I'll give you guys a couple more seconds to wrap that up. Okay. Is anyone feeling open enough to share some of the things that they wrote down? Kirk, yeah, you want to pass the mic up?
Drive me. Hardworking. Loving. Stubborn.
I love that. Right off the bat, I get a pretty good idea of what I'm going to find if I work with you, right? Is stubborn a bad thing? Right, right. Can it be? Yeah. And here's the thing. Everything that you guys are going to list can be your superpower or your nemesis, right? And it can flip like in a given day. It really can. So I love that. Stubborn, bold. What else did you put, Kirk?
Hardworking. Loving.
Hardworking and loving. Love it.
That know me.
Intense.
Rough around the edges, sometimes charismatic to a point.
To a point. Okay.
Brutally honest.
Okay. Awesome. How did that make you guys feel? Hearing that? Yeah. Right. What else you got?
So skills. I've got some marketing skills. The last 14 years, marketing and advertising. I've got sales skills. I can sales 101 stuff, the prospecting, the cold calling, then the not being afraid to be told no and or having it bother me or destroy my day. Or that's also been a part of the business that I've been in for the last 14 years. The trick part of that question is how does it help you in real estate and are confident in what you're talking about? It doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
Just FYI, it doesn't.
Yeah.
At all. But I do have compassion for others and I have a desire to help others.
Okay.
And I think that if you leave that first, then gone through all the scripts and gone through all the
Love it.
your 10 houses, sorry, 20 houses a week. Gotten comfortable with the market.
And earn the right
Earned the right.
to get people's business and help them through one of the largest transactions they'll make in their lifetime, right? Yeah.
Right.
Right. Love that.
So well, I've bought 4 homes. One of them just recently in February. February is when we wrote the contract. We didn't close until the middle part of April or closer to May. I can speak to the craziness of this market specifically. Bought it for sale by owner. I wrote the contract, I dual agent, both sides, and it was my first transaction ever. Everything that could have possibly happened, not everything, but almost everything that could have possibly happened. You know, contract. Wanted to take a commission on the property that she wrote in, and the house didn't appraise. There were inspection issues. There were insurance issues. There were, that, and then I've put together some really big deals, and well, not monumental, but I've put together 350, 400,000, $1 million advertising deals. So I'm not afraid of the price point. I'm not afraid to go in and talk to people that have, homes that are worth a lot of money. I think that's something that's an experience that I have that will help me in this business. That's
First of all, thank you for sharing. One of the one of the unique values that I have and therefore appreciate is vulnerability. I think that's my superpower, actually, and sometimes my nemesis, right? So it's very vulnerable to really talk about some of that stuff, isn't it? You know, I mean, and we're just scratching the surface, right? But I mean, the deeper you go, the more time you guys actually take to reflect on that and write things down, the more you will discover. I won't have everybody share, but I really do appreciate your vulnerability and actually sharing that, Kirk, because how often do we see agents or businesses market that way? Have you guys ever seen anybody market that way? It happens some, right? But not very often. Do you think that would stand out? The better question is, do you think you would draw the clients that you would be uniquely positioned to serve?
I hope so, because that's.
Yeah.
Reminder at the end if they have a home to. Up until that point, there's usually some. Type of expectation I did not live into.
Yeah.
Comes into play.
You market to who you are and you will draw people that are naturally drawn to you. You market to something you're not, you'll get clients that you do not enjoy working with. Right? Do you guys agree with that? Yes. Okay. So let's jump in, if this works. It's actually getting some stats behind what buyers and sellers want. So I plugged in these percentages. You guys should have a spot for this in your workbook. Do you guys have a spot for this? Assuming this is correct. Page 6, I believe. 5, yeah, it's between the 5 to 7 mark. So you guys should have a spot for this. But here's an actual look at what buyers want most from the realtor. And so this covers the top 3 responses and categorizes everything. This actually comes from the National Association of Realtors profile of home buyers and sellers. And this is something that you can get as a NAR member. There are more recent ones in 2018. And I would encourage you to look at these every single year. I dig into these stats. I do marketing content based on these stats. I talk about them. But I love this. So what, and the color coding is really difficult. Oh my gosh. So the 23 is the other, the 52 is helping find the right home. Okay, so 52% of buyers, what they said they wanted most from a realtor, said help to find the right home to purchase. And this has changed a little bit over the past several years, but not a whole lot. It's actually gone down. It's a little less than 50%. The last time I checked it, which I believe was 2019 survey. They believe it was right around 48, 49%. So it's actually trending down, which means it's less and less valuable about that. Now, go back 10, 20 years ago. Do you think this looked different? Yeah, it was almost the whole pie was, hey, help me find a home, right? Because we were in more of a dependent relationship with clients than an independent. Now, consumers have access to all that information, so it's not as important as we might think. That being said, it's still half, right? Half the buyers out there, that's what's most important to them. 11%, excuse me, I'll go top to bottom. The blue, 14%, is help the buyer negotiate the terms of the sale. So they want you to help. They want you to find the house. They want you to help them negotiate, right? Not every buyer wants this, but that's a good chunk. That's a really good chunk. And then right under that is help with pricing negotiations. So terms are actually more important than price to buyers in our current marketplace. Does that surprise you guys? What do we talk to most often? Price. There's a whole lot more money to be had, gained, lost in terms than there is in sales price. Would you guys agree with that? Concessions, what repairs we're requesting, closing date, quality of life things. How expensive is it if you don't get the closing date that you want based on a lease that you're in or a buyout that you have to do, right? Or whatever that is. What are your moving expenses if you can't get the particular date that allows you to move, right? Do you lose your deposits if the time frame is too tight? There are things that are more important and end up with more dollars in their pocket or not than just price. And then everything else is another 23% is kind of a mixed bag. Other things, finding it online, having a mobile app. There's all a whole variety of that. It's something that's worth digging into if you guys are interested in it. It'll really give you some insight on an annual basis every time they put this out on what people are really wanting from us. We have to know the value that the market's expecting for us to make sure that our unique value is in line with what we deliver. This is the homework of being a real estate agent that most real estate agents, even ones that have been in the business a long time, don't do. And I'm giving it to you guys right out of the gate, right? Pretty cool. You're welcome. So what do they value, right? So this is what they want. What do they most value? This is a very different picture. The reputation is actually the largest one on there. They value the reputation of the agent. And how do you build your reputation? You guys are going to see a theme here. Oh my God, can you say that again? That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
Deliver on your value proposition.
Wow, you say what you do what you say you're going to do, and your reputation will grow, right? Jen Davis told me that when I was a little baby buyer's agent and I just got started, right? I had coffee with her because she was very gracious of her time. And she said very, very plainly, you know, Brian, if you just simply do what you say you're going to do, you'll be fine. And that sounded really easy. And I kind of took it as a new agent. Oh, yeah, duh. Everybody knows that. And when I actually started doing the business, I was like, oh, that's really, really hard. And I can make it harder on myself by the expectations that I set up front for what I will and won't do. Right? So that's why I'm taking so much time on expectation setting, right? Because you set yourself up to either be the hero or the zero based on what you deliver on. And actually what you deliver on is not actually changed between those two scenarios. It's what you promise. So under promise, over deliver. Honest and an agent being honest and trustworthy, that's 19%, or is it 22? Excuse me. Man, those colors are hard. That's other. 19%. 19% is the next highest. Honesty. And this one's really tricky because it's hard for them to see up front whether or not you're honest or trustworthy. That's why I think my own personal style, my own personal value, right at the top of the list will be vulnerability. Because that's actually how you break down the wall and create the relationship so that they can trust you and they can believe that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Honesty, sincerity, true vulnerability. All right. If you look at my big why, my mission, my unique values, those are the three things for me. And the agent is a friend or a family member. Look at that percentage. 15%, right? So your friends and family, you got a pretty good shot at, right? That should be very hopeful for you, right? Even if they have an agent that's fantastic and delivers on their value, you've got a pretty decent shot at converting them just by being in proximity. That's why we talk so much about focusing on our sphere when you're in lead generation, because your conversion is always, always, always going to be higher. Even if you look at the huge mega teams that are across the country, you look at Ben Kinney, you know, you look at some of these teams that close, you know, 1,000 to 2,000 deals a year. 1,000 to 2,000, you know, I mean, 500 is our ceiling here, or 500 or 600, which is huge, by the way, but it gets even bigger than some of the agents here in this office. And all of them in their top 3 lead generation sources, every single one has their sphere, their past clients, their family, their friends. And your job by delivering on your value proposition is to turn any clients into friends. Because if you can convert a client to a friend, you increase your conversion, right? Does that make sense? Cool. What else we got? The knowledge of the neighborhood. Well, guess what? We actually happen to have a tool. That's 13%. We happen to have a tool that allows you to have that knowledge. We have several. You can become a market expert. You can look at Flex. You can look at broker metrics, which are the monthly metrics that come down, right? Who's seen broker metrics? I know my coaching peeps have. No, we'll get into that. So broker metrics, Rachel Luss sends out once a month, and it gives you a good feel of what the marketplace is doing, right? Just coming to team meetings will help you immensely here. Just listen to Mike Brown once a week talk about what the market's doing, and you will already be ahead of the majority of your competition, right? And go to training, plug in, get that information out there, learn how to seek it for yourself, or do a market snapshot. If you guys haven't done a market snapshot through Command, I would recommend you do it. Do it for your own neighborhood, do it for a zip code. It's super easy. You can literally go into Kelly and hit snap 65721, and you will get a market snapshot of Ozark right there. And it's textable, it's branded to you. You can text it out. I can do that while I'm sitting in an open house for a zip code or a neighborhood or a city. And I can be like, hey, how's the market? Well, which market are you talking about? Right? I always answer a question with a question. It's through Kelly, which is our AI, right? You can just hit snap and then the zip code. Or you can generate a market snapshot in Command. You can even make a market video, like an animated video, and it takes like 15 seconds. It is stupid easy, and it's ridiculous to me that other agents are not using this more often than they are, myself included, because it's super easy, right? You just put in a zip code and it'll be like, hey, we're gonna generate this cool animated video and tell you this many homes are under contract. Here's the average price per square foot. They expect to have a local knowledge point here. And this is also how you beat out the big real estate companies, right? We talk a lot about Zillow, Realtor.com. You can get ahead of all of those people by being an expert here locally. Zillow doesn't know the best place to get a haircut. Zillow doesn't know about Pineapple Whip. Zillow doesn't know the best parks to go to swim in the summer, or which school zones have certain programs that are good for kids with special needs, right? Be the local expert and you will win every time. Does that make sense? Okay, and I'm going quick on some of that stuff. So let's talk about what sellers want. We're in a seller's market. This is a different story. So we looked at that again. We've got helping sellers market the home to potential buyers. That's 20%. Helping price the home competitively, 20%. For 19% is helping sell the home with specific time frame. 14 is finding a buyer for the home. 14 is helping with negotiation and dealing with buyers. This is a very different graph, isn't it? Right? Pretty much they want this and this and this and this. Guess what? If you're developing a unique value proposition that you're going to use in a listing appointment, what are the 4 topics you should probably focus on? Any ahas? What do you guys think? Marketing, price, time frame, and how you're going to help prospect for buyers, right? When I first started, I started with Mark Stewart. I'll give him a shout out because I like Mark and he likes me, so I'm allowed to do that. He told me really early on that he actively looks for buyers for his sellers and for sellers for his buyers, right? And every appointment, buyer or seller that he has, that's his script. He tells them all the same thing. The thing that I do that's different, and when he says it, he means it, right? He does really, he is a prospecting machine, right? So he doesn't, it's not a false promise. For him, he's on the phones, he's calling, he blocks 3 hours a day, he lead gens. And so every client he talks to, he can be very honest and sincere when he says, the thing that I do that's different than a lot of other agents is every day I get on the phones and I actively prospect to find buyers for my sellers that I have and sellers for my buyers, right? He delivers on the value. And he's consistently a top producer, top 5% producer, not even top 20, he's top 5%, right? He's consistently anywhere from about 8 to about 12 million. Did he get higher than that? I think he was closer to 14, I think, last year. So we're talking about a good, solid agent that is good at lead generation, but he's not promising something that he doesn't actually deliver on. I can't make that promise, right? I lead generate differently. I'm very sphere focused. If I made that promise, it would fall very short and I would not have a good reputation which is a huge part of the business, right? Because I don't actively call every single day for those two categories. Should I? Yeah. Yes, right? But mine's more relationship based. So I actively educate my database on what the market's doing so they can make the best informed decision. That's my style, right? So pick your style, but speak to it. So what else stands out for you guys? What do you see on this chart that would help inform you on how you need to show up for sellers? I've been talking too much. I gotta get you guys talking. Anybody online? What do you guys think? Somebody that's not Kirk. He's already talked. By the way, I did facilitation professionally before this, so I will stand here and wait for a really long time until I get an answer. It'll be uncomfortable. Give me an observation on how, on just anything that you observe from these percentages. What is this telling you?
So the blue that help with negotiation and dealing with buyers, kind of explaining to the sellers what a buyer's contract is going to look like and what you want to look for and things that will help it, and maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. What else?
I guess
Christian?
something that I see, it's not as, it's more evenly diverse than the buyer side. Like, there are fewer things to focus on versus the buyers, but there's still so much more to.
It's different, right? Buyer.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if we do the consultation correctly, we actually hit every single one of those things that's on there.
Yeah.
Like right on the head.
Yeah.
We're not missing anything that they're actually wanting.
A really, really big weakness for agents in our current marketplace is in the pink.
Yes, that was my biggest one, was that competitive, or the pricing correctly and
Uh,
competitively.
Help price home competitively. Sellers are telling us that that is 1/5 of what they want. Are agents doing that right now? As a general rule?
So it's sky's the limit right now.
No, 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 absolutely not. What are they doing? Going for the gusto. Yeah. Meaning we're just going to throw a high price out. Sellers are setting their price. Sellers are setting their price in the market that we're in today, not listing agents. Now, that's not every agent, right? But that's how you can differentiate yourself, for sure, right? Have you guys, and I don't want to dig too into the weeds. Let me see how we're doing on time. So with broker metrics, have you guys ever looked at the broker metrics, the list price to, or the sales price to original price ratio? You have? Okay. So what that sales price to original price ratio actually is it's the percentage of where a listing actually lands versus where it starts. And again, this is a metric that you can look at. In April, we saw in a big way. I'll pull out April because I know that right offhand. With no price changes, the average sales price to original price was 100.6, right? Thank you. And then one or more price change. Can't spell. Okay. This was what? Was it 83%, 84%, roughly?
Yes, it was like 83.
83. I think it was actually 83 point something and give them some change, right? And the average days on market, and this is April, right? We've got May out. That tells a different story. This is just what I have off memory. I apologize. But the average days on market here was 12. Now it's 8. In May, it's 8. And here, 78. 78 days. And so This is where agents are falling short on pricing home competitively. Not pricing at the highest, pricing it competitively. To run the math on this, if you have a home that should be priced, the market value is 190,000 and you price it here, you'll get above that, right? You'll get above 200, I think it was like 207, right? Roughly. If you started at 200, let's say, hey, let's just squeeze that extra 10,000 out of it, you actually lose money. The difference between these two percentages on that same home and what you lose is about 33 grand. I did a video on this not too long ago. So by allowing the tail to wag the dog, right? Meaning allowing your client to set the market instead of the market to do so, right? Buyers to. They're actually leaving 33 grand on the table. And they've already telegraphed that that's what they want. They want you to price it. They may have a price in their mind, but they're looking for you to verify and affirm that that's where you should be to be competitive. And so where you come in there is having the confidence in your unique value proposition to know, hey, I know that my clients value honesty. That's what I value in my clients as well. So I would not be doing you any service if I listed your home at that price. Because I cannot, in my professional opinion, tell you that that's where the market is, right? I don't set the market, neither do you. Well, there's an agent that said they could list it for 200. They could absolutely list it, but do you have another 5 minutes or so for me to explain what the market's doing right now and how that might impact you? And then you just break down those numbers, right? You print out the report. So yes, they might list it 10,000, and I'm sure they want to do that because they'll lock you in for 6 months to a year. They'll get their sign in your yard. They'll get advertising. Potentially they'll get leads. They'll be marketing your name or your house for their name, right? And they may or may not make you more money. You did want to net the most money possible, right? So it's all about having those conversations. So does that all make sense? Clear as mud? Okay. Anybody online want to add anything to the seller's value? What do you guys see? You can chat or unmute yourself, either way. Going once. I've already put them to sleep. Okay. So let's talk about who your competitors are. Anybody want to take a guess at who our competitors are? Other agents. Okay. What else? You can just shout them out. I'll recap. We don't need the mic. For sale by owners. That is our competition right now. Okay. What else?
Biggest one, yourself.
Yourself. Oh, I love that. Love that. Okay. Thank you, Christian. That's good. What else? The iBuyers. iBuyers. Okay. What else? Any non-traditional competitors in terms of service? Remember, we're talking about value. We're talking about being a service-based business, right? So what are other service-based businesses that are non-real estate that you could be compared to from your client's perspective? Car sale, possibly, yes. I won't say anything because I'm on video and being recorded. What else? Insurance? Same comment. Okay, what else? They'll say the same thing about us. It's fine.
Oh, for sure.
Leasing companies, potentially, yeah. From a service standpoint, everyone is your competitor. Amazon, Apple, right? Why are those service-based competitors for your business? They inform the unspoken expectations your clients have for what service they should expect if they're paying for a service. Does that make sense? So how might those industries that are non-real estate industries impact the unspoken expectations that clients would have for you in the way that you handle your business?
To me, I think it's probably the follow-up.
The follow-up, yeah, here's mine.
It's the follow-up as well as the response time. Like
Response time is
Yeah.
huge. Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's what's changed in the digital world is how quickly you can respond to somebody.
Yeah.
And you're going to answer your phone because Amazon will absolutely cut their own head off to get, to get you customer service.
Yes.
They will do whatever they can to do that for you. So I think that's what's changed. That unspoken expectation is you better behave that way.
Yeah. You can have a package hand delivered by a drone, right? For some people, right? Or hand delivered within a day or two. Same day, yeah, same day. You're just like, I want thing, bleh, and then it just shows up at your doorstep, right? Seriously, why do you think we're competing with Zillow? Because from a service standpoint, they compete with Amazon. How much is my home worth? Right? Have an agent call me. Bleh. I want to see this house. Click here, schedule a tour, right? That's why those lead funnels work. People are impatient. Yeah. So how do you fight with that? How do you actually compete with that? Do you compete by doing the same thing? You can't. Thank you. Yeah, you can't. So Cassie said you can't compete by doing the same thing. Showing value. What kind of value, Tim? Yeah. So you don't show up by being the same, you show up by being different. Yes. Yeah.
I think you show the human side to it too.
Yeah.
Because people will crave that. And I think even now after COVID, we have a little bit of a head start for that because they're excited to go talk to someone else other than what's on their TV and Downton Abbey and all, whatever they've been watching. I watched it.
What? Downton Abbey? Yeah. Have you seen The Crown?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Hours of my life. See, that's why it's a choice to lead generate. Because I watched The Crown all last year. I watched every episode of The Crown.
I did too. But I did a research afterward too.
Well, yeah, sure.
That's an interesting thing. I would look.
Yeah, but if I thought about how many clients I could have gotten from purposeful conversations during this time that I spent watching The Crown, makes me want to throw up. So, it's a choice. Yes. But so you personally, you fight with them by being different. But one of the great things about Keller Williams and the technology that we try and provide to you guys, right? Some of you use it, some of you don't, right? Is that we can bridge the gap in between. Your database and your CRM, your technology can be a computer. They can be a robot. They can compete with, maybe not level to level, right? But pretty darn close. The big giants, the Amazon expectations, the Zillow expectations, the Realtor.com expectations, right? Your business needs to be a machine so that you don't have to be one, right? And so I think for me personally, being vulnerable, I was really resistant to a lot of this stuff, a lot of automation, because I felt like, well, you can't automate Brian Stone, right? I was real cocky about it. I was like, yeah, there's only one me. Yeah, and there's a lot of different value that comes with that, right? But while that may be true, superpowers and not, right? I was resistant to it, and I can't be a machine all the time. But if you combine the Keller Williams technology, the IDX feed that we have, our app, the smart plans, automated texting, check-ins, if you take the investment of time to program it in a way that it feels personal and it's unique to you, right? Not just the plug and play, then you can allow your technology to be technology so that you can be a human being that's living and breathing and honest and sincere and vulnerable and supporting your clients' fiduciary needs, right? So, and using this technology gives you the time to do that in a purposeful way. So we talked a lot. I have talked a lot, I apologize. But I actually want to get into crafting your value proposition. This is on page 12 and 13. So I want you guys to actually refer to those pages and just remember that your value proposition is unique, memorable. It's a persuasive statement that expresses the true value of working with you. It says what you're doing to earn your commission, and it holds you accountable to the standards that you set, right? So take some time to actually, do that outside of class. because this is going to take more time than what we actually have. But I wanted to reference this to you guys, and we can just do a little bit of, you know, role playing back and forth. So let's see, who wants to be the client and work the value proposition in the conversation? Who wants to be a client of mine?
I will.
You will, Christian? Okay, so go ahead and grab the mic. Yeah, okay, that's okay. So we're actually going to role play. So I've already told you guys that my unique value, my personal values is honesty, sincerity, and true vulnerability, right? I also take a consultative stance to real estate in an education standpoint rather than a hard prospecting and sales standpoint, right? So you guys already kind of know a little bit about how I would craft my unique value proposition. So let's actually role play that out. So Christian's going to be the client. And I'll just talk about some of the services, my character, my knowledge, and my skills, just through asking good questions. Because I wanted to do this live just because I think it's valuable for you guys to see that it doesn't have to be complicated, and for you to remember that the one who asks the most questions controls the conversation, right? So I can control the conversation that Christian and I have by asking good questions. If he's asking the questions, he's in control. So Christian, remind me again why you and your wife are looking. Excuse me. Well, why are you married? I should have started. I should have started with that. Sorry. Are you married?
I'm gonna play ball. Yeah.
Yeah. You gonna play ball? Okay. Kids?
No, that's actually why we're moving. We're expecting twins.
Sweet. That's fantastic. So, so why, outside of just having a little bit more room for twins, that's awesome. What are you guys looking for in your home?
Well, on top of the twins, we also have a dog, so we'd like a bigger backyard.
Awesome. What about that, that backyard is important to you?
Just so the kids can go out there and play future. So that, and then good school districts as well.
Good schools. Okay. So schools, room for the dogs, fence, not fence.
Preferably a fence, so we don't have to. We know the kids and the dogs are safe back there.
Great. Now I could spend another 30 minutes talking about all of his needs right now, or 15, right? But to expedite that, I'm going to shift the conversation after I talk about what he's looking for in a home, and say, so Christian, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. That gives me a good picture of what you're looking for. What are you looking for in the agent that you ultimately hire to represent your interest on your purchase?
Somebody to take off some of the stress that comes with it.
Okay. And what about taking that stress off is important?
So that I don't have to put too much time, or my wife doesn't have to put too much like thought into this, so she's not getting stressed out with the kids.
Awesome. I love that you said that, Christian. I think that you and I will be a really good fit. One of the things that I believe I do really well is manage the process for you so that you don't have to. I have a fantastic transaction coordinator once we get under contract to close. And until then, I have automated searches that will set you up on, once I have a good picture, now that I have a good picture of what you're looking for, to make sure that you and your spouse don't miss a single house that might be a good fit for you. What else are you looking for in an agent?
Somebody with good integrity, someone that we can trust.
Okay. I can respect that. And obviously I can understand why that would be important. Have you had an experience in the past that maybe was less than ideal?
Not with an agent, but we've been renters, so this is going to be our first home.
Cool.
But with past rental landlords.
Gotcha.
So we just don't want that type of stuff when we go to buy a house.
I can understand that. Would it be okay with you if I share my own personal vision, my own personal reasons for being in real estate?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Great. So you know, a lot of agents get into the business for sales. For me personally, I get up every day, I get excited about real estate because I get to inspire others to achieve their real estate goals. And it actually goes past that. It's just their goals. But I don't know of any goal that doesn't have a financial tie. And I don't know of any better vehicle to build a financial health, the financial health of you and your family than real estate. I do that by making sure that I'm honest, sincere, and I'm vulnerable. I can tell you there's other agents out there. There's probably agents that have done it longer than me. There may even be some agents that are better at finding the home you're looking for. But what I can tell you is that I'll tell you if I don't know something. I'll be honest with you. If I know it, I'll tell you. If I don't know it, I'll tell you. And is it okay with you if I don't have every answer? If I take some time to find the right answer instead of just giving you the quick answer?
Yeah, that's preferable.
Okay, great. Then I think we'll work together fine. Right. So, and I could go on, right? What else is important to the agent? But how did I address my value proposition by a conversation? What did you guys notice for that interaction?
You dug deeper into the first response to understand why that was the response that he had.
Right.
So he could explain exactly what he needed and how you could address it.
Right. Did that feel sincere? Yeah. Do you know why it felt sincere? Because it was, right? If you guys said that exact thing, it would feel very rote, right? That's why I'm having you guys go do these activities. Okay, what's unique? You know, like, I'm stubborn. You know, Kirk's gonna be like, I'm stubborn. And you know, sometimes that serves me, sometimes it doesn't. The way it serves you is that you will not find anybody that's going to fight harder for your interest. I will not give up unless you ask me to give up. You'll give up before I do, because I'm committed to finding you the home of your dreams, right? So he can talk to his unique value by asking the same questions but giving different responses. Does that make sense? Yeah. So superpower, right? Awesome. So we've talked about the aspects of service. We've talked about knowing and stating your value. We talked about actually getting an opportunity to deliver on that value. So I want to get into that, but I also want to be sensitive to our timing. We're at 2:20 right now. Class goes to 2:30. Some of that, or excuse me, 3:30. That's including lead generation and scripts. But are you guys good with about a like 5-minute bio break? You guys want to take a quick break, or you want to keep powering through? It's up to you. I'm fine to power through, and then you guys can, when we start doing scripts and role play and getting into that, if you guys need to grab a break, you can. You guys want to power through? Okay, cool. We'll power through. All right. So we've already talked about this a lot, but make sure that you're creating that stellar experience, delivering on the value that you set for yourself, right? Distinguish yourself. And the only way you do that is by being genuine. Be genuine and you will set yourself apart naturally. You don't have to rack your brain about what cool marketing tactic hasn't already been thought of or done or tried or succeeded or failed, right? You just have to be different, which is really easy, right? Because if you're genuine, you'll be different than every other agent out there, right? And again, deliver on your value, deliver on your value. So I want to address some of these in particular. So we talked about client indecision and stress. Do you guys feel like we've covered where that comes from and how to overcome it? Yeah, yeah. How about clients that are too detail oriented? I want to dig into that a little bit, right? Some of this, you guys familiar with the DISC profile? Okay. Some of this is in how you set expectations and your process, and some of it is the client. I will tell you, there are clients that will be very detail oriented, even if you deliver on your value proposition and you communicate the expectations correctly. You'll still have some of those clients that are that's just how they're built, right? So the DISC profile, if you guys haven't dug into, I really recommend you do. Because all it is a communication profile. It's used as a personality profile, which I think is incorrect, right? Each of these different tests that you go out online and fill out in Google or do a survey in Facebook or do through work or career are for a different purpose. DISC is about communication style. If you want a conflict style one, that's the Thomas Kilman assessment. That was really interesting, right? It's how you deal with a fight, right? It's how you deal with conflict. The KPA is more all comprehensive, but for DISC, it's how you communicate. So high C, high S, high C, you're going to see more detail oriented. They'll sit there quietly. You'll feel like you nailed the listing appointment. You'll leave and they'll turn to their spouse and be like, I didn't like him. I don't like him one bit. And you'll never know. And you'll never know, right? That's more the S, right? The C, you'll know, but they'll go line by line. What does this mean? What does this mean? Is that right? And then you look it up in Google, like, you know, I don't know if that's right or not. Right? That's a high C. They're very detail oriented. It's not 100%. It's not over 100%. It's 100.6. Right? The listing price isn't 200,000. It's 199,900. Right? They're very, very detail oriented, right? And they're like, well, what does this phrase mean? What is this phrase? What is this phrase? And so if you can identify some of those signals, which you can do by email, text, you can see how people communicate, then you can start to frame or adjust your style to match their need. And so, for example, I always keep a blank copy of the contract when I'm in a consultation, seller or buyer, because if I'm in communication and I can tell they're detail oriented, I'm going to give them a copy of the blank residential sale contract. And I'm gonna say, look, I brought a copy of this contract. It's not because we're signing it right now, but I don't want any of my clients to ever sign something that they don't fully understand. So your homework, right? That's a real estate pun. Your homework is to review this and highlight it, write it up, send it back to me, or I'll come pick it up. And I'd love to address any questions that you have about it, right? It's a way to actually address that. Put it on them to actually review that so that you don't have to have a 30-minute consultation shift to about 2 hours. Do you have a question? Yeah. I want you to recap that real quick for the people on Zoom. And you came in late, so you have to say what your name is.
I was in Vernon. So. Okay. Yeah, my name's Taylor. I'm with Evans Group, but I said that I didn't really realize how many people actually didn't know what they were signing. Just through talking to people through open houses or on the phone, like there's a lot of people that just have no idea what they signed. I don't know how that happens, but I just found that really surprising. So yeah.
So chances are they're high D, high I. High Ds and high Is are very direct, very quick, but they're not detail focused. Ds are like very ready, fire, aim. No, I don't think D agents are reading their contracts. Yeah. It's not natural to do that, right? You have to learn it. It's a learned skill. You have to go outside your style. High Is, you'll know because every single sentence that they put in their email will have an explanation, exclamation, not an explanation point. An explanation point, exclamation point, or they'll put smileys or emojis in their text. You can tell. That's a high I you're dealing with. High, yep. Yep. I'm a high I. I'm a high I. Yep. That's adorable. It's adorable. I just, you know. No, I'm not all caps, but I am like I drive people nuts. My response to say yes, I got your text is a thumbs up. It's always a thumbs up. It's like so nerdy. So nerdy. Yeah. Yeah, so that you're conflicting. Yes. Yeah. You're off. Yeah. So so when it comes to clients that have that level of detail or not enough detail, you have to understand that you're speaking to their natural communication style. And so it's always best to ask a question, say, hey, and you can use the same thing for high Ds or high Is. Hey, I never want anybody to sign anything that they don't fully understand. Do you want the Cliff Notes version? You want me to go through this, or do you want to have some time to review it ahead of time? How would you prefer to proceed? And like I actually had an attorney as a buyer, high D. I expected him to just cut the contract apart, right? The buyer's employment agreement. He's like, it's a standard form, right? Yeah. He's like, did you read it when you filled it out? Yeah. He's like, where do I sign? Done. Didn't even ask for didn't ask for anything. Didn't ask for a summary, a Cliff Notes version. He's like, yeah, flip to the last page. Where do I sign? And he was an attorney. Man, I could have taken that guy to the cleaners. But again, trust, right? When you earn the trust, then it makes everything else easier. So we address that. Self-management. And we haven't talked about this directly, but I think indirectly we've talked about some of that, right? And some of the storytelling. I cannot reiterate enough, and this is not in this, right? But it does relate. You cannot deliver on your value unless you also deliver value to yourself. Again, you cannot give what you do not have. I've had a roller coaster journey with real estate. I really have. I've worked on teams that were a fit. I've worked on teams that weren't a fit. I've been an individual agent and been terrified and not great at it, and then good at it and then not great at it, right? I've let clients down and I've exceeded their expectations. I've done everything in between. And all of that has not been in relationship to the knowledge or expertise I have. It's been 100% in relationship to my energy. You cannot give what you do not have. So a lot of my coaching, and I've been in coaching, and now I am a coach, is not focused on how many activities have you done, how many calls have you made, how many text messages have you sent. It's been, how much time did you spend with your son this week? Right? That's easy. Well, yeah, or did you take some time to play the video game that you like? Right? That's self-care. Seriously. I happen to have both. Did I play video games? Did I play with my son? Did I play video games with my son? Right? It's all there. Did I take the time to sit on the back porch, put something on the grill, have a cigar, and have a drink in my hand? Right? That's my happy place, right? Listen to some music, read a book, whatever it is. You have to give yourself care so that you can have the energy to deliver on your value proposition, right? And so that's how to summarize that self-management piece that you talked about, Kirk. And you also have to really give yourself permission to be your best and to understand that your best is different every single day. My best tomorrow is not my best today, and wasn't my best yesterday. There's highs and lows. Be okay with doing your best, letting your head hit the pillow, and knowing that that was the energy that you had to give that day, and tomorrow's a new day. Let's do our best again. I really, if you guys can't tell, I'm really genuine when I say that, because that is what will make or break people in this industry, guaranteed. Okay. So let's get into some ahas, light bulbs, if you will. So now that you guys have talked about unique value proposition, you've heard me talk way too much. I want to hear you guys summarize what you learned today, what stood out, and what you're going to put into action. So not just, how's your thinking changed, but how do you feel differently and how your behaviors are going to change. And then any tools, models, and systems that you can definitely use, right? That could be for accountability, for technology, for anything. So I want to hear from you guys.
So something that kind of changed my thinking, the unspoken expectations, that's a surreal thing. And I guess I never really thought about it. So changing that going forward, I'll go home and I'll see what I will expect myself to give to my clients from here on out. So that's action. Taking the automated stuff. I need to take a little bit more advantage of that. I need to get set up on that. The whole social media presence and all that. I was actually going to school to be a gastroenterologist, and I was very cut off from all that. I didn't share anything. I was a very private person. So just getting out there and doing that is going to be a new challenge and something I need to work on.
So awesome. Thank you, Christian. So yeah, really sitting down and putting some thought into your value proposition is what I heard there, the first one you said. Can I hold you accountable to that? Yeah. Okay. So how much time do you feel like you need to craft a draft of your value proposition that you could utilize in your appointments? Your timeline, not mine. Need a week, 2 weeks?
Probably just
2 years? By Monday? Okay. So can you email me that value proposition so I can review it and give you some feedback? Okay. I'll expect to see it on Monday by 5 o'clock. Okay. You have my email, right? All right. If not, I'm going to put it on my board up here so you guys have it. Okay. Something else. Aha.
Well, I mean, for me, it was all this is really new stuff to think about, right? And so, just thinking about the value proposition itself and making that, there's a lot that's going to go into that. And I'm like, I started last night working on like Facebook page or whatever.
I like the quotations. That's fun.
Yeah.
Realtor Facebook page. Okay.
Right. Well, I haven't. It's not like published yet. You know, I'm just keeping it under wraps until it's
Sure.
ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody does that. Yeah.
Right. And so this is all really helpful for that. You know, something for me to put on there and hopefully communicate to people effectively what I bring to the table and what they can expect.
So the challenge I would give you is to think about how you draft your bio for your Facebook page and make sure that that bio is including some of the unique values that you want to present to your clients when you serve them. Does that make sense? Cool. What else we got? You got anything, Katie? Okay. Okay. We're going to keep going. I'm going to let you stew on that a little bit. Okay.
I came in late, so I don't really know exactly what you talked about, but I had a question for you.
Yes.
So how do you come up with the topics for your educational videos? Because that's what I want to do. Like, for some reason, I've mostly been working with people that are like my age to like 30 or 35. Not on purpose. It's just
Sure.
how it's happened so far. I don't know why, but so like I think it'd be really cool for me to make videos like how to, like you guys, like talking about what it takes to buy a home and everything before that. So like what topics, how do you think of like topics to come up with to talk about that? Because I know the process, I just don't know it that well. So how do you do that?
So here's the beauty about making video content. You actually learn as you do it. If you don't have content, you have to find it. And you can't talk about something you don't know. So it requires you to educate yourself first, right? So I would say the easiest thing I can do to deliver content, especially with the demographic you want to focus on, is just treat it like a consultation that's chopped up in a bunch of tiny pieces. So you're talking about different aspects of the real estate transaction, and that'll give you content for 6 months to a year if you want it, right? Plenty of content. Like, hey, let's talk about what happens in an inspection. That's a video. Let's talk about what's an appraisal. That's a video. Let's talk about financing types. Here's financing types, video 1, blah. Financing types, video 2, blah, right? You can talk about governmental, conventional, what to do with multiple offer situations, right? As you learn things, cascade those out to your sphere, right?
I'm meeting with lenders right now and just like writing stuff down.
Yeah.
So I can like tell, like, you know,
Vendor relationships are huge. Think about all the different vendor relationships you could do. Talk to a moving company and then you can put some content out or educate yourself on that. Talk to an insurance agent, talk to a lender, talk to anybody that could be anywhere involved. Talk about the stuff you like doing. My best videos are usually stuff that have nothing to do with real estate. I did a summertime video where I was like, hey, here's the 5 things I like to do in the summer. One of them was nothing. That was literally, I made a video about doing nothing, and it got more engagement than me actually talking about the market, which made me a little sad. But here's the thing, the people that will engage with you, and they're engaging with you, not a version of you you're trying to create or project. So I can't really tell you as far as content what makes sense for you. What do you want to talk about, right? It could be literally anything. As long as it's within fair housing guidelines, right? You're good. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Kirk. Yeah.
How do you feel about utilizing vendors and subject matter experts? Because there's a lot I don't know, right? But I've got 8 different appointments lined up with people that do know about it. And I'm having the conversation with them, and it's a back and forth, and I'm asking them questions, and I'm, and they're explaining, what they know best. And I'm talking to the little that I know and how it applies, and then asking questions from the different perspectives that I can think of. Where do you land on that, Brian?
I I had my focus in my first year and a half, 2 years on vendor relationships. I actually focused on business to business specifically. And because Blake is my coaching partner in crime, I'll pick on him even though he's not here. He focused on real estate agents, right? He had 83 coffee appointments in his first year with other agents, and that drove him to be rookie of the year, right? Now I didn't get rookie of the year. I'm not upset about it or anything. It's fine. It's okay. So it's not a sensitive topic. I'm fine. I'm fine. But I had a similar experience, but it was focused on vendors. I set a goal of talking to 100 different vendors, 100 different vendors. And it was not 100 categories. It was 2 to 3 providers in any particular business category. And a lot of them were non-real estate. And by doing that, I created relationships. I found clients because vendors are clients too. They buy and sell houses too, right? And I educated myself in every aspect outside of the 4 walls of Keller Williams, right? So yes, I absolutely recommend leveraging your vendor relationships. That's actually one of my unique value propositions. If you actually look at my formal buyer's presentation or my formal listing presentation, I talk about my vendor partners. I have them as part of my process. For contract to close, if you go under contract with me, you get a email that has 3 of my recommended home inspectors, 3 of my recommended insurance agents, and why you should choose them. And those vendor partners know that in order for me to give them business and be the best referral partner possible, they are a part of my systems. And I let them know that. So guess what their question is, their natural question, if they know that they're a part of my systems. Well, Brian, how do I make you a part of my system so I can be as good of a referral partner for you as you have been for me? I'm glad you asked that, Kirk. Let's say it's an insurance agent, right? So do you have renters insurance policies that you cover too? Yeah, policy. Okay, great. And you do those on like how often do they renew? Oh, well, around the same time the lease renews, every year. Hey, great. Could I give you 2 or 3 questions to ask them when you're having those follow-up conversations? Yeah, absolutely. Great. Like, hey, how are you liking your current rental? Have you ever thought about owning a home? Would it be valuable if I connected you with somebody that could talk to you about purchasing a home, right? 3 simple questions, and I've earned the right by delivering on my value proposition to that lender for them to ask those 3 questions for their clients. And then it's not just my database I'm tapping into, right? So does that make sense? So, and you can replicate that in any industry that you want. It's not just insurance. That's just an easy example. There's a bold law that says you teach people how to treat you. That's true for your vendor relationships too. You teach your vendors how to treat you. People also grow into the conversations you create around them, right? So if you create those conversations around those vendor relationships and you give them questions to ask, tools in their tool belt, they'll be better referral partners for you, and they'll be grateful about it because they're doing it to help your business because you've helped theirs. Okay, good. Any other ahas? Let's get one more. Online? Yeah, I tried. Hey, out there in the interwebs. Thank you, Susie.
So I like the idea of the 3 questions deep. That it's a weird thing. So I've heard that if you ever get stopped by a policeman, you know, they will often probe 3 questions deep because you can't think that fast. And so they'll catch you every time if you do something wrong. So I just thought, so I thought the 3 questions deep was something I knew, but I never thought about applying it to a client.
Awesome.
I like that.
So that's something you could easily apply in the conversations you're having right now. Right. Great. Great. Awesome. So now we're on to the actual daily habits, right? As we wrap up, we got about 20 minutes. Woo, I'm on time. Sort of. Am I on time, Nicole? Decently? I don't know. Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. All right, we'll do that. So I know I talked about this earlier, but full transparency, Nicole wasn't in the room, so she doesn't know who raised their hand and who didn't in terms of who was doing activities. And even people on YouTube don't see it because the camera was pointed at me. but we all know who raised their hand and who didn't, right? Nobody raised their hand, by the way, Nicole. I just outed that. Yeah. So commit to doing these 4 things this week. Do me that favor. That's the only thing I would ask of any of you for my time today or my time in the future if you need it, is commit to doing these 4 things. Because I know that if you do, you guys will be successful in real estate. And I would love each and every one of you to be successful in real estate, because the way that we train at Keller Williams and the people that we attract are the kind of people that I want in the industry, and they're the kind of people that I want to do a deal with, right? So do me the favor of adding 10 contacts, having 10 conversations, meaningful conversations. They don't even have to be about real estate. They can be with vendors, right? Write those handwritten notes and preview those 10 homes a week, right? And just put the effort. By the way, 50% is still okay. Again, remember, do the best you can do. I'm one of those that I'm very goal oriented, but I also believe, like I said, giving yourself a little grace. If the best you can do one day is talk to one person, write one note, then do it. Don't give up that day because you can't hit the 10. That's like coming to a training class a little bit late and no, it's okay. Most people that are new to the industry that are in the same situation, they have a legitimate excuse. Excuses are real and valid. They would not come to the training at all because they were a little bit late. And would they have learned more or less than you? Less, right? Less. So do your best and preview those stinking homes. That's huge. That really is huge. That'll get you a good feel of the market. Trust but verify. Okay, I'll check it out. Awesome. So scripts. You guys have scripts already in your book, right? For this section? All right. So let's role play those just a little bit. And then we'll make a few calls. Let me find it. Scripts. Who has a script? Kirk has a script. So I want you guys to role play back and forth a couple times with the scripts you have today. If you don't have scripts, role play some simple questions that you can ask to deliver your value proposition, and that's totally fine too, right? And then I want you guys to hit the phones. Can we all agree to make at least 3 phone calls? 3. I'm asking for 3. Okay, so make 3 phone calls. I don't care if it's your mom 3 times. You're going to call her 3 times, and you're going to feel better after the 3, right? So be integrity with yourself and make 3 calls. And I'll stop the recording for you guys online. So make your calls, and I will see you guys next time. Stop recording. Do you want to stop?